it all sounds good, right? Like Tennessee's not going to skip a beat. Expectations are the same, but some real talk right now. No Nico Iamaleava. What are the expectations for the Vols this fall? We'll discuss on your Thursday Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into it, your Thursday morning Locked On Vols. Appreciate you guys for being here, making Locked On Vols your first listen, your first watch each and every single morning. We're a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every single day, where you're free and available. Go ahead and tell your friends, subscribe to the channel. This is the spot for Tennessee fans, news and entertainment 5 days a week when you wake up wherever you get your podcast. Today's episode is brought to you in part by our friends over at Game Time. You can download the Game Time app, create an account, put in the promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, big thanks to our friends over at Game Time. Spencer McLaughlin, host of Locked On College Football, is going to stop by the show. We did a little crossover for his show, actually, and I'm going to play that clip here in segment number 1. Expectations, realistic expectations for Tennessee football in 2025 post Nico Iamaleava. That's coming up next right here on the show. Brew McCoy, unfortunately, has to medically retire from the sport of football. He announced that on Tuesday night. Going to go through his accolades here at the University of Tennessee and discuss why he was one of the better transfer portal success stories in the transfer portal era, in my opinion. That's coming up in segment 2, and then we'll get into your mailbag questions coming up in segment number 3. All that and more happening right now on a Thursday Locked On Vols. Here's my chat with Spencer McLaughlin of Locked On College Football.
How good is Tennessee, Eric? This is a playoff team, and I hear this conversation like Colin Cowherd for years has pointed out correctly that, hey, there's going to be at least one playoff team in each conference that doesn't make it the following year. Well, if you were to apply that sort of thinking to college football, boy, Tennessee's a pretty easy target to pick, right?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, first and foremost, I apologize for my voice. It sounds like crap, but
grinding. Sounds great.
Just getting through it, baby. From a national perspective, for a guy like you that is a national show, or for Colin Cowherd or whatever, like 1,000%. I mean, it's easy to see that. Number one, you lose Nico Iamaleava on the last day of spring practice. He's your quarterback. Was he the reason your team went to the playoffs last year? No, but he was your starting quarterback for all 13 games, and you can't just ignore that, right? You're losing Dylan Sampson, who had a phenomenal year as a tailback. James Pierce, a first-round pick. You got injuries to Jamal McCoy, a cornerback who was an All-American. I mean, there are so many questions right now for the Tennessee football team, aside from the Nico Iamaleava situation. So I think all the questions, I think the doubts, I think it's all fair. Now, what's different is, obviously I'm on the ground floor and I cover this team. I know it like the back of my hand. I know that Tennessee's defensive line is good. I know Tennessee's linebackers are going to be good. I love Tennessee's secondary. I think Tennessee's defense is going to be just as good as it was last year, being a top 10 unit. Tennessee's wide receivers, you lost everybody. Well, Tennessee's wide receivers were not good last year. So I think there's only one way to go, and that's up. I love Tennessee's collection of running backs. I think Tennessee's offensive line, albeit losing 4 starters, has a chance to be maybe a little bit better, pass protection. So I love this roster. I still like this roster, but from the national lens, easy to count Tennessee out right now, especially when you lose your quarterback in a less than ideal situation on the last day of spring practice.
Yeah, and our friends at FanDuel knocked Tennessee's win total down from 9.5 to 8.5, bumped UCLA up from 4.5 to 5.5. So the odds makers clearly think Nico is worth about 1 win per year, which would have, if they're right on that front, that would have knocked Tennessee out of the playoff a year ago. 9-3 SEC, we know, did not get in. I don't think it should have, but despite the lobbying from South Carolina, mostly Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss and Alabama and whatnot, and then Brett
ESPN for Alabama, yes.
Yeah, that's a good point. And then, Brett Bielema throwing Illinois' name into the fold last year, which was one of my favorite Twitter takedowns of the college football season, when Brett Bielema just chirped back at Lane Kiffin saying, hey, how about we let the committee do their job, because here's my resume and it's really comparable to yours, and I'm not sitting here whining about it. So anyway, bringing it back to...
He is what's great about college football, right? I mean, that's why we love this sport, the drama. Him and Shane Beamer going at it in the bowl game. I mean...
It's because it's subjective. Because the playoff being subjective is maddening on the one hand. I get it. It's also... unique and great and wonderful. But you bring in Joey Aguilar, and it's not like he's playing college football for the first time. And I mean, you know better than me if he's locked into being the Vols starter. Of course, that was a late arrival because it was a quarterback swap with UCLA. I don't know if that was maximum value. I think the Vols should have gotten a couple of later round draft picks as well. But I just look at what Tennessee has, and yeah, last year Nico was kind of a game manager. Can Joey Aguilar or whoever winds up starting for Josh Heupel this year game manage his way to get Tennessee back into the playoff, maybe at the expense of an Alabama or LSU out of the SEC?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what one of the first shows I did once Tennessee decided on, they're going to get Joey Aguilar. And again, spring transfer portal window, there was not that many options. Whoever the quarterback was at UCLA when Nico decided to go there knew they were going to jump in the portal. Joey Aguilar was not the only one that jumped in the portal, so it just made too much sense. But you look at what Tennessee did this past football season, and again, I'm not trying to take away from Nico. I think Nico's got unbelievable talent. I think that there's another level that's going to be unlocked there, and if he reaches that, he's going to be a really good quarterback. But in 2024, aside from a couple big-time throws, he was kind of a game manager. And when you have a young starting quarterback for the first time and a great run game and a great defense, why not be a game manager? You're winning football games, and that's what Tennessee did en route to a college football playoff appearance. So for Joey Aguilar, he's just got to protect the football. He turned the football over a ton this past year, had a record-setting year in 2023 with App State, school records and all that. He's a gunslinger. I love that mentality because at the basis of this Josh Heupel offense, they run the football so well, but they let it rip, right? I mean, they try to do those chunk plays and everything. That's why Tennessee was so successful in that regard in 2021 and 2022. But what Tennessee's quarterbacks have done under Josh Heupel is they protect the football. Hendon Hooker hardly ever threw picks. Joe Milton didn't throw picks. Nico had 5 picks last season ago. If Joey Aguilar can protect the football, if he is the starting quarterback, and I believe, I'm picking him to be the starting quarterback. I think experience talks. I know he's not got experience at the SEC level, but he's played a ton of college football where Jake Merklinger hasn't. George McIntyre hadn't even suited up for a college football game yet. There will be a competition. I don't think it's a slam dunk, but I'm not picking Joey Aguilar. But if Joey Aguilar protects the football, takes some shots, and just plays within the system, I think Tennessee's going to be a pretty good football team. A lot of big ifs. I get it. Joey Aguilar isn't even on campus. I think the hope is sometime this week he will be on campus. He's taking classes at UCLA, still taking classes at App State, trying to get on campus.
He's still got an App State class in there?
Yeah, he's still taking online classes at App State. So
oh my gosh.
I don't necessarily know how all that's going to work, if he's going to drop the UCLA workload. I don't know. I think he's graduating as we speak for App State, but regardless, I guess school is still a part of it, but he needs to get on campus. He needs to learn the offense. He needs to win over his teammates. But if he does all those things and he protects the football, I think Tennessee, has a chance to be pretty good. I'm not going to call a college football playoff appearance right now, but this roster is good enough. Again, going back to what I said earlier.
Yeah, the turnover thing, I fully agree with you there. Aguilar, double-digit turnovers, I believe, in each of his last 2 seasons with Appalachian State. A lot of production, but when you're a gunslinger, if you go into the SEC, that can be a little different. When you're in the Sun Belt and you're playing the likes of Troy and South Alabama, it's slightly different than when you have to play Georgia, even though it's a home game, or you have to go to Tuscaloosa and play Alabama. Real quick, Cain, to wrap this one up. The Vols schedule, I wouldn't call it a gauntlet necessarily compared to what some SEC schedules can be, like Florida the last couple of years and probably again this season. I wouldn't call it a Texas of last year's schedule either. It certainly presents a couple of challenges, and I think that if Tennessee comes out and they roll Syracuse the way they rolled NC State last year, I don't know that instills a bunch of confidence as much as it is kind of an avoid disaster spot for the Vols in game 1. But if you're going to see Tennessee go past my expectations and that of everybody else and make the playoff next year, I think between Georgia and Alabama, one of those games has to be a victory. It proved to be the difference last year, beating Alabama at Neyland Stadium. This year it's Georgia. I think between that or going to Tuscaloosa and winning has to happen, or the Vols won't make the playoff.
I mean, I like Tennessee against Georgia at home early in the year.
Whoa,
with Nico.
whoa.
With Nico, meaning.
Oh, okay.
Meaning, I'm not going to sit here and say Nico was all the difference, but you get Georgia. I think that's game 3. It's in September. Yep. It's super early. You bring a veteran-led team back, veteran quarterback, all that, but then Nico's not there anymore, so that kind of changes some things. That's a very big question mark, but still, I like the fact that it's at home. Syracuse, I mean, Tennessee, I think Tennessee's line in that game went down from, I want to say 13.5 to 11.5. I mean, still double-digit favorites, so, I mean, that goes to show you. I mean, Syracuse obviously going to be breaking in a new quarterback. Stephen Angeli, a quarterback Tennessee evaluated, but ultimately decided to pass on. But I think I like Tennessee in that neutral site game. Georgia's going to be a massive game. I think when it comes down to it, in terms of the college football playoff, it's Tennessee's got to win on the road, okay? You got to split on the road and take care of business elsewhere. That's saying they lose to Georgia. You got to split on the road at Alabama or at Florida. Tennessee's not won on the road at Alabama or Florida in so many years. Florida, the Swamp, has been a house of horrors for the Volunteers. Anything that can go wrong has gone wrong for Tennessee down in the Swamp. Doesn't matter how good Tennessee is, how bad Florida is, how good Florida is, how bad Tennessee is. Tennessee has just not played well in the Swamp dating back to 2003, which is the last victory down there. And that game is in November. It's the second to last game of the regular season ahead of Vanderbilt. So that game for me is for all the marbles, in my opinion. Now, you can afford to maybe drop that game if you go on the road and win in Tuscaloosa third Saturday in October. I think that's a big-time opportunity as well. Obviously, Alabama's got some question marks. Who's going to be their quarterback? What's going on there. But when you look at the schedule, pre-Nico and post-Nico, it still comes down to those 2 games, in my opinion. It is on the road at Alabama, on the road at Florida. Can you split those? And, of course, you need to handle business elsewhere. You need to beat Syracuse. You need to beat Oklahoma at home. You need to go on the road to Mississippi State, handle business there. And, again, there's just so many questions right now for this Tennessee team. But I promise you, it's hard to do this. I get this. If you look past the quarterback situation, which you can't do, there's so many questions there. But if you look at running back, O-line, D-line, secondary, this is a really good football team. This roster is a really good football roster. So management, protect the football. Let's see what happens. I mean, the expectations, even without Nico Iamaleava, the expectations are still sky high. I mean, you made the playoff last year. Fans want to make the playoffs again this year. So, all that good karma and all those good vibes, saying we stand with you, Josh Heupel. We don't want Nico Iamaleava, send him packing, all that type of stuff. You hope you keep that energy in October when you lose a game you're supposed to win. But again, that's the passionate fan base. That's what makes college football what it is.
Yeah, it is. When you say if you can look past the quarterback, it's like saying, I ordered a steak dinner, and if you look past the steak, the potatoes were excellent, the vegetables were sublime, the béarnaise was wonderful, and the wine pairing was really, really good. But you got to
still kind of hungry, right?
Yeah, if you go to the steakhouse, you got to cook the steak right. Eric Cain.
I know that sounded so stupid when I said it, but I just want to keep rolling with it because again, you can't look past the quarterback. Nope, and again, I think it's going to be Joey Aguilar. But my point is, obviously, I love this roster. I love this team in terms of the talent. Tennessee's got more questions now than it did maybe since Josh Heupel's first offseason, just because you didn't know what the team was going to look like. You didn't know what the offense was going to look like. But just from a roster makeup, lunch pail, hard hat type guys, this roster's in a good spot. There's nothing like the atmosphere of an NBA playoff game. Every bucket, every defensive stop, every moment, it feels huge. It's electric in that arena, and with Game Time, you can be a part of it without the stress of last-minute ticket hunting. Game Time makes it fast and easy to get playoff tickets, even when the demand is sky high. Prices on the app actually go down as tip-off gets closer, and their last-minute deals can save you up to 60%. I love those last-minute deals. That's why I use the Game Time app. Doesn't matter if I'm going to a Tennessee game here on campus or maybe to a concert at the Tennessee Theater or at the Bijou Theater or whatever the case may be. Concerts, comedy shows, sports, whatever. Events in your area, you can buy cheaper tickets the closer to the start of that event, sometimes saving you up to 60%. That is a really, really good deal in my opinion. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, put in the promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account, put in the redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Great conversation there with Spencer McLaughlin, host of Locked On College Football. Encourage you guys to make that your second or your third listen along with Locked On SEC. when we get done with this episode. Brew McCoy announced on Tuesday night, late Tuesday night, that he is medically retiring from the game of football. It's unfortunate. Brew McCoy, way back when, man, former 5-star athlete, defensive end, wide receiver from California, played at a powerhouse high school out there. I mean, everybody knew he was one of those prospects that, I mean, you got to go way back too. I mean, he was in the class of 2018, I believe. I mean, he was in college football for quite some time, but he was one of those dudes. Like, he was one of those 5 stars. Everybody knew his name. He had a very different collegiate path than probably he or anybody around him envisioned. He signed with Southern Cal and then transferred to Texas for the spring of 2018 before transferring back to Southern Cal prior to his freshman season. Played 3 seasons at Southern Cal, the last one being the 2020 COVID-shortened season when he made a lot of plays for the Trojans. And then coming over for Tennessee, or I guess 2021 was his last season. And then he came over to Tennessee prior to the 2022 season and played for the Vols in 2022, 2023, and 2024. We know about the off-the-field issues that he was under. I'm not going to get into it big. I'm not going to really dive into the nitty-gritty here. But we all heard about the situation that he was in, allegedly, all that type of stuff. I mean, the reason he kind of had a bad rep there for a little bit. And I don't know. I mean, I wasn't there, okay? I'm not going to pretend to know. I didn't cover him at that point in time. All I know is that when Brew McCoy stepped foot here on Tennessee's campus, he was a mature young man. He was a hard worker. He was a really good teammate. He was a great leader. He started a nonprofit, which I'll get to here in a moment. He's great with the community. He was a team captain. He was a leader. And he was somebody that, regardless of what position you were at Tennessee's roster, what year you were on Tennessee's roster, Brew McCoy was a guy that you could look up to. And he was a model citizen. He was a model football player and a model leader here for the University of Tennessee. So I don't know. Maybe he matured a ton, over. I mean, most of us do. I know I matured a ton from when I was 18 to 23 years old. I don't know his situation in Southern California, but I do know his situation here at Tennessee, and he was a really, really good one. And so I view that as being one of the bigger, more successful stories of the transfer portal era. Did he score 15 touchdowns in 1 year? Did he win the Biletnikoff? No, he did not. But you move from one school to the next, maybe for a different playing opportunity, maybe because you were not gelling with the system or the culture, maybe you got in off the field trouble, whatever the case may be. I think Brew McCoy, some of that aligns with him and his story. And you move to another school and you immediately step in and you're an instant contributor and a model teammate. And you leave your new school better than the way you found it. And that's what Brew McCoy did. So I've been a big Brew McCoy fan throughout his Tennessee tenure. I think that he's one of the better success stories in all the transfer portal era. I mean, take Hendon Hooker, for instance. And Hendon Hooker, of course, good teammate, good person, good quarterback, all that and more. I mean, his success obviously was on the field, and this is a little bit different than that. I mean, Hendon Hooker was an okay quarterback at Virginia Tech. He was an all-SEC quarterback and all-SEC offensive player of the year at Tennessee. That's not what Brew McCoy was, but both are success stories in my opinion. You look at what Brew McCoy did his first year at Tennessee, well, really overall in his 3 seasons at Tennessee, 29 career games, 1,356 receiving yards, 108 catches, 7 touchdowns. He averaged 12.6 yards per catch, 46.8 yards per game. His season high mark at Tennessee was his first year back in 2022, 52 catches, 667 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He stepped in and was an instant contributor. And because of the injuries to Cedric Tillman that year in 2022, man, Brew McCoy was constant. And Brew McCoy was huge for Hendon Hooker in that offense in that record-setting 11-win Orange Bowl season. Sorry, my voice is still not where I want it to be, so I gotta take a break and get a drink of water. Nonetheless, 2023, his year got cut short. 5th game, he suffered a fractured dislocation of his right ankle. It was a gruesome injury, and as he'll relate to here in a moment when I read his statement, I mean, that was pretty much a career ender. But he fought back, came back, and wanted to be a part of things this past fall. Back in 2023, prior to the injury, 17 receptions, 217 yards, and a touchdown. This past season, battling some injuries and whatnot, 39 receptions in 12 games, 472 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Brew McCoy issued a lengthy statement via his social media accounts, and I'm going to go ahead and read this all told because I think it's worth listening to if you haven't heard it already. Quotes, first and foremost, I want to thank my family for everything they have invested in me during this journey and always standing by my side while playing the sport that God has blessed me with and gifted me with to do the past 18 years. Additionally, thank you to my coaches and teammates throughout the years of support and guiding me in every step of the way. It's with a heavy heart, but a feeling of gratitude that I share with you guys that I made the difficult decision to medically retire from football. This has been one of the toughest decisions of my life, but after careful consideration with my doctors, family, and people closest to me, I've come to the conclusion that it's the right path for me long-term health and for my long-term being. As many of you know, I came back and played last year after what could have been a career-ending injury. I felt it was my responsibility to myself, coaches, family, and most importantly, the community that I have here in Knoxville to give back for all the love that has been shown to me. I want to take a moment to sincerely thank each and every one of you who has supported me and throughout my journey, for it means more than you will ever know. From the first days I stepped foot onto the Pop Warner Field through the high school days and finding my home in Tennessee, I am now finally turning the page to a long chapter of my life. Whether you've been cheering for me on the sidelines or standing by me through the adversity, I'll forever be grateful for all of you. Although this chapter of my football journey has come to an end, I believe this is just the beginning. I'm excited about the next steps, and I'm determined to continue pushing myself in new directions. This is not the end of my pursuit of greatness, just a new beginning. In regards to my nonprofit, Huddle for Hearts, this is still a project that I'm extremely passionate about, and I still plan to continue to do CPR and defibrillator training to the underprivileged as opportunities arise. Thank you all again from the bottom of my heart. I'll carry the support with me into the future and beyond. Signed, Brew McCoy. It's a class act, man. Brew McCoy, what a class act. And there's going to be a question when I get into the mailbag questions here in segment number 3, asking that there's any latest on, undrafted free agents such as Brew McCoy or, Cooper Mays and all that and more. But didn't really hear anything from Brew McCoy. Of course, he was invited to the Reese's Senior Bowl this offseason, was invited to the NFL Scouting Combine. He knew, everybody in this camp knew that he'd have to be answering some tough medical questions on how his ankle was. It was a gruesome injury. You guys remember that against South Carolina back in 2023? Just gross. And the fact that he came back and battled back and was a leader for the team this past year. And sure, I've said it a ton. I said it on the show earlier today. The wide receiver room was not very good last year, but it wasn't for a lack of giving everything they had. And in the case for Brew McCoy, that was very much that example. So best of luck to Brew McCoy. Prayers for him, and I'm excited to see what is in his future. I think he's going to be a success story in life. I'm intrigued to see if he sticks around the game of football in some capacity. I don't know. But Brew McCoy has announced his retirement medically from the game of football. It's unfortunate, but hat tip to him, class act, and a really, really good volunteer while he was here in Knoxville. Hey, when we come back, we'll answer a ton of your questions. Who do I see starting as of today at every single position on the football field for Tennessee? That and so much more will continue on right here on Locked On Vols. Did you know your Fire TV stick can also be used as an Xbox? Turn any TV into a gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab and pair with your controller, subscribe, or sign into the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. With Wi-Fi 6 and 6E and auto low latency mode advanced technology, Fire TV Stick 4K delivers smoother and more responsive gameplay with lightning fast speeds that you need to stay competitive. With 4K streaming, you can watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services such as Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and so much more. It's awesome, guys. It can be used for so many different things, and it's a great deal as well. You can head on over to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On. That's Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started today. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller is required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen. Go check it out today. It's at Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On, Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On. All right, guys, we got a final segment left here of your Thursday Locked On Vols. Usually we do the mailbag on Tuesday, but didn't do a show on Tuesday because obviously if you've been listening and watching this episode or really the last week or so, my voice has been gross, and I apologize for that. I had no voice on Tuesday. Literally, I waited all day long on Monday, waited until about 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock Monday night, and I'm like, you know what? It's not getting any better, so I might as well just call it, and that's what I did. Apologies for the inconvenience. Contrary to what you may believe, I sound 100 times better today than I did on Monday, so hopefully we'll continue to get stronger. But nonetheless, didn't have the mailbag show on Tuesday, so we are doing it here on a Thursday. With that being said, we got a couple here. We'll dive down into it to end the show. We'll start with Ty. Ty says, this is half question, half comment. Does all this drama and loss not have just as much of a chance to make us better as it does to make us worse? To me, this is all the ingredients of a shock the world type season. It will make or break us, and I think the guys will respond. Yeah, I mean, anytime you're hit with adversity, whether it can be your quarterback leaving the last day of spring practice or, losing a game on the road that you shouldn't, like Arkansas, anytime adversity strikes, as a team, as a collection of men or women, whatever, in a team-like setting, you can either rally or you can either feel sorry for yourself and start trying to make excuses and start looking over your shoulder or, whatever the case is. And nowadays, start talking to your agent, seeing what's out there, But, and again, I'm not in that locker room, so I'm not going to pretend to know everything. But based on Josh Heupel's comments that Saturday when all this was going down, based on the way Arian Carter and Miles Kitselman kind of portrayed themselves, I mean, they were upset. They were not happy. And so I think that this team, to your point, will rally more than separate. Now, you got to find a quarterback. Is that going to be Joey Aguilar? Is that going to be Jake Merklinger? I don't know right now. Offensive line's got to protect, right? I mean, wide receivers got to produce. You only have 7 scholarship wide receivers. They've got to produce. There's a ton of questions. Don't get me wrong. But I'm with you, man. I think this team can rally. I think this team can come together. And I think this team can be better for this experience than be worse. Now, is that going to be good enough to make the college football playoffs? I don't know. Time will tell. But I do think that this is a veteran-led group with good leadership that will respond the right way. Ty, appreciate the question, man, as always. Let's go to Colby next. Colby says, who do you think gets the most carries at running back this coming year? It's a good question. I think when all is healthy, this is a 1A, 1B situation in the backfield. I think 1A is Deshaun Bishop. I think 1B is Peyton Lewis. And I think Star Thomas is going to have a role in this, don't get me wrong. Juwan Morris, I think, close, but I think he's still a little ways away as a true freshman. So I guess I would say Deshaun Bishop. However, durability is an issue with Deshaun. He missed a couple games last year, obviously missed his entire true freshman season. He's a great story, one of my favorite stories on this team, but durability has been an issue. So for that reason alone, I'm going to say Peyton Lewis. And I know Peyton Lewis missed a little bit his first spring, a little bit of fall camp last year because he had a offseason cleanup surgery from high school. But I do think durability is more of an issue for Deshaun. And so that's why I will say Peyton Lewis, who I think will get the most carries this season for Tennessee. Let's go to Jared. What does Tennessee baseball need to do in order to salvage the season? Also, any news on if Cooper Mays, Brew, or any of the undrafted free agent deals? Is there a deadline on that? So on and so forth. I don't think there's a deadline on that, but as you're seeing, I mean, there's rookie mini camps going on right now. There's OTAs. There will be mini camps coming up later in the summer, training camps, all that and more. So there's constantly guys getting cut, signing, getting cut, signing. So there's no deadline, to my knowledge at least. Brew McCoy, obviously, we just talked about him in the last segment. He medically retired. I've not heard anything about Cooper Mays. I really haven't. I think Javonte Spraggins is doing some type of rookie mini camp with the Seattle Seahawks. Obviously, Will Brooks got invited to Kansas City. Haven't heard anything about Cooper Mays. I could be completely wrong, but I haven't heard anything about Cooper Mays. As far as Tennessee baseball, win this weekend, man. You have 6 regular season SEC games left. 1 is at home. You've not played well at home. You've lost 3 straight series, 4 of your last 5. Okay. I wrote a story about this yesterday. Like 2023, they used Vanderbilt as a springboard, as a switch flipper, if you will. I'm not saying that's the case, but it's not the same situation because in 2023, Tennessee welcomed Vanderbilt to Lindsey Nelson Stadium midway through the SEC slate. Tennessee was 5-10, and as Xander Seacrest will say on the porch tomorrow, man, they were well out of that thing. I mean, they weren't even close. It is not that bad right now. Tennessee's postseason bound already, okay? Now, there's questions about if they're going to host a regional or a super if it comes down to that, and that's kind of what you're playing for this weekend. But for me to salvage the season, I mean, you just got to get back to playing good baseball and winning some games. There's no excuse for you not to win a series at home when you're the University of Tennessee. Vanderbilt's a good program. I'm not trying to discredit Vanderbilt, but there's no reason for you to lose a series at home if you're the University of Tennessee. So win this series and then worry about Fayetteville and Arkansas next weekend because that's going to be a challenge in its own right. I think if Tennessee gets to 18 wins, Tennessee will be in line to be a top 8 seed and host a super regional if it advances that far. Now, what needs to happen in that case? You need to win this series. You can't get swept on the road at Fayetteville, and you got to win at least one game in Hoover, in my opinion. So that's kind of the way. That's kind of how I'm approaching these next 2 weeks, Jared. Let's go to Blue Collar Patriots. Hey, Cainer, if the season started tomorrow, who do you have starting at each position on offense? Just a random question. QB-wise, I think it'll be Jake. I think Jake has the edge, though not much college experience. A year head start in the system. Okay, Blue Collar Patriots. I like this. Yeah, I mean, I'll start with quarterback. I will go with Joey Aguilar. And I'm not hating on Jake Merklinger. I certainly think there's going to be a quarterback competition. I think Jake's got a real chance to win it because of reasons you pointed out. Not much college experience, but a year head start in the system. Joey Aguilar is playing, behind the clock here. I mean, he is playing. He's not even on campus yet at the time of this recording, so he's got his work cut out for him. But I do think experience will talk. He's got loads of college experience, not SEC experience, but he's got loads of college experience, and I think that in the end will win it over. We will see, but there will be a competition. But for this exercise, I'll go Joey Aguilar. At wide receiver, I will go Chris Brazzell, Mike Matthews, and Braylon Staley. Tight end, I'll go Miles Kitselman unless he's obviously not ready for the start of the season because of his injury. I'll go Ethan Davis, but those 2 guys will be the main 2. At left tackle, I will go Lance Hurd. Left guard, I will go Wendell Moy. Center, I'll go William Satterwhite. Right guard, I'll go Sam Pendleton. Right tackle, I'll go David Sanders. Running back, I'll go Deshaun Bishop, but I think Peyton Lewis is going to be playing just as much as Deshaun there. So yeah, that's offense. That's just offense. Now, is there a situation where potentially Sam Pendleton could slide down and play center and Sham Umarov could play guard? I could see that. But for right now, to answer your question, I have William Satterwhite at center. So that's how I see the offense right now. I'll be ready to be wrong come fall camp. Jackson says, can you sum up Tennessee sports for incoming freshmen? Maybe like historical franchise events or little tidbits to watch, learn about, to be a full fan in the fall. That's a loaded question because we could honestly do a couple different shows on that. The history of Tennessee, the history of Tennessee football, history of Tennessee basketball, Lady Ball basketball, Tennessee baseball here under Tony Vitello, the decade of dysfunction years. Shout out Mark Nagy. There's a lot of different areas we could go here. But in simplest of terms, an incoming freshman that might not be familiar with the college athletics landscape right now, Tennessee athletics is in as good of a position of any athletics department in college athletics. Danny White is a stud, the athletic director. Tennessee football has had 2 10-win seasons the past 4 years. College football playoff appearance, Orange Bowl victory. You got Tennessee basketball that's on back-to-back Elite 8 appearances. Tennessee baseball is coming off a national championship in Omaha 3 of the past 4 seasons. Okay, Lady Vols basketball went to the Sweet 16 this past year. First-year head coach and Kim Caldwell. Lady Vols softball's been incredible under the weeklies. The non-revenue sports are up there. I mean, SEC championships. This collection of sports here on Tennessee's campus, phenomenal right now. And you probably won't find another program, another athletic department in college athletics that is set up for success more than Tennessee right now. I think at the end of the day, that is probably as simple as I can explain it there, Jackson. The final question will go to Krabby Vol. Had to take a break there because obviously my voice was really going out there at the end. You mentioned how Joey Aguilar has such a short time to learn the offensive quarterback. How difficult is it to learn the plays in the secondary for Hood? Colton Hood, of course, transfer over from Colorado. That's a good question. It is more difficult for a quarterback to learn everything because it all starts with the quarterbacks. That's the offense in general, the terminology, the pre-snap checks, all that and more. There's just more that encompasses the quarterback position, obviously. Now, at cornerback or defensive back, I'm not trying to minimize anything. You still got to learn a lot, don't get me wrong. However, it's more terminology. It's, okay, we're pretty much doing the same coverages. Differences in technique a little bit, but pretty much techniques are the same, plays are the same, coverages are the same. It's all different terminology. They called it this at Colorado. We call it this here at Tennessee. You're going to be playing man-to-man on the outside. You're going to be playing cover 2 underneath. You're going to be, deep third, dropping back for cover 3. Those are the same at Colorado and Tennessee. And sure, there's some similarities of what Joey Aguilar will have done at Appalachian State that he'll do here at Tennessee. But it's just more all-encompassing, I guess is the best way to describe it. All right, that is going to do it here for this edition of Locked On Vols. Almost made it to the end without losing my voice. Again, I apologize. Hopefully tomorrow will be better. It's getting better every single day. But I appreciate your patience. Thank you so much for being here. Tell your friends about this show. Big thanks to Spencer McLaughlin for stopping by the show and talking with me and allowing me to talk on his show as well. Expectations for Tennessee football in 2025. Big weekend coming up. Big series for Tennessee baseball. We will preview. We'll talk about Tennessee and Vanderbilt, what needs to happen for the Volunteers this weekend as it looks to continue to secure a top 8 overall seed. We'll talk about the latest in Tennessee basketball and football. All that and more is coming up on a Friday Locked On Vols. Thank you guys for being here. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. This is Locked On Vols.